Welcome to Loud and Lifted Quick Lift, the condensed, action ready version of a full episode. Same truth, less time, straight to what you can use. I sat down with Carrie, the founder of Hey Work Friend. She spent over a decade inside corporate HR, in the rooms where decisions get made, including about you. Now she's on the other side of the table and she is not sugarcoating anything. Everything in this episode comes back to one thing: boundaries. Not the inspirational poster version and not a personality trait you either have or you don't. The real uncomfortable thing. I've sat across the table from employees who were stretched too thin, silently drowning and doing everything except asking for what they need. And I've also been that person, saying yes when I should have said no, absorbing more than was mine to carry, and convincing myself that being a team player meant being available for everything, always. No boundaries, no limits, just more. Here are the 4 truths from our conversation. Truth 1, boundaries feel impossible because your nervous system is working against you. Before we talk about what to do, we need to talk about why it's so hard. Because if you've ever known exactly what you should say and you still said yes anyway, this is why. Carrie named something I have never actually heard of. It's called the fawn response. We all know fight or flight, but there's a 4th nervous system reaction, and it's the one that runs on a loop for a lot of high achieving women. When we perceive a threat, a difficult boss, a culture of overwork, the fear of being seen as difficult or demanding, our nervous system's instinct is to please, to accommodate, to agree, to say yes, even when every part of us is saying no. Sound familiar? She also called out something else that keeps us high achievers stuck: the belief that constant busyness equals value, that rest is laziness, that burnout is a personal failure. So we push through, we ignore the signals, we tell ourselves we will set a boundary the next time. But here's the correction that Carrie made, and I want you to hear it. The World Health Organization has officially classified burnout as an occupational phenomenon, not a personal weakness, a workplace condition. It's not you, it's the environment. And knowing that matters because you cannot hold a boundary if you believe the problem is you. The fawn response isn't a character flaw, it's biology, and you can learn to work with it. But first, you've got to stop blaming yourself for it. Action item: the next time you catch yourself saying yes out of anxiety instead of choice, name it. That's the fawn response. You're not weak. Your nervous system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. Now you get to decide whether to actually follow it. Truth 2, a boundary isn't a feeling, it's a script. And here's what it sounds like. Most of us either say yes to everything or fumble the no. We over-explain, we apologize, we cave at the first line of pushback, and then we wonder why nothing changes. Carrie's research-backed framework is 3 steps, and this is what a boundary actually sounds like in practice. Step 1 is have a positive reaction, not agreement, just warmth. That sounds like a great project, or I'd absolutely love to help with that. You're signaling that you're a team player before you set the limit. You're not lying, you're just managing the tone. Step 2, the decline, short and factual. Right now, I'm really heads down on X. No drama, no lengthy justification, just one sentence. Also, did you notice there's no apology? Step 3, the alternative. This is what separates a boundary from a wall. I can take this on tomorrow or next week. Or would you rather I prioritize what I'm working on this new thing? You're giving them a path forward and you're managing up the process. This formula works with your boss. It works with your coworkers. If you're a high performer on your team, people will find you. They will make you their backup plan. A warm no, I'd love to help, but I don't have the capacity right now. But here's where I'd start. It redirects them without creating conflict. And when you blow this, because we know we will, it happens. Carrie is clear on this. Don't just give up. Try it again the next time. Go back to the person and reset. I recognize I wasn't clear yesterday. Here's what I'm able to do. The boundary doesn't disappear just because you fumbled it once, but you do have to hold it again. One more thing that I want to land here is the more selectively you say no, the more you signal that you know how to prioritize. Bosses notice, I promise. A person who protects their focus and delivers is more valuable than the person who takes on everything and produces mediocre work across all of it. Saying yes to everything is not a boundary. It's an invitation to being taken advantage of. Your action item: think of one situation this week where you're likely to get an ask and you don't want to say yes to. Write out your 3-step response before it happens. It's positive, it's the decline, and an alternative. And then have it ready before you need to. And remember, less is more, and you don't have to apologize. Truth 3, going to HR is a boundary act, but you have to do it right. This is where Carrie's insider experience really becomes essential because she said something most HR professionals will not say out loud. HR is not your friend, even the good ones. And I don't mean this personally. I love so many HR people. She was one of them, but they're paid by the company. Their loyalty by design has to be to the organization. They're there to protect the organization. This isn't a moral failure. This is just the structure. When you walk into HR, you walk in knowing that. But here's a little nuance that doesn't mean you shouldn't go. It means you have to go in strategically with your boundary protected. Her advice, document everything before you go. Don't walk in with how something made you feel. Walk in with what happened, when it happened, and what the impact was on the work. Non-emotional evidence, facts and patterns. HR can engage with documentation. They cannot do much with my boss makes me feel undermined. She also said something that's hard to hear. Toxic managers often don't change. Even if HR has a conversation with them, even if they get that feedback and peer reviews, the behavior frequently continues. And now they're looking around the room trying to figure out who talked, which means you also have to be honest about what outcome you're hoping for. Sometimes going to HR is the right move. Sometimes the right move is deciding whether you can get on a different team within the organization or whether you need to start an exit strategy. She said both of those things plainly. A toxic manager is probably not going to change, and staying inside a broken dynamic, waiting for that to happen, is not a boundary. It's a slow erosion. Action item, if you're dealing with a toxic boss right now, start a documentation log today. Date, what happened, who was present, what was said. Keep it factual and keep it current. If you decide to go to HR, that log is your credibility. Truth 4, the boundary between you and your job is the only thing standing between your ambition and your health. This is a truth that landed hardest, and I want you to feel the full weight of this one. Carrie worked 7 days a week out of fear. She had a toxic boss and a workload with no ceiling. She did everything. Went to her boss, went to HR, advocated for herself, and none of it changed. The work kept coming. She worked herself into an autoimmune disorder. She was in pain in the middle of the night, foam rolling at 2 a.m., too afraid to take time off to see a doctor. When the pain became unbearable, she took medical leave. And while she was on medical leave, she got laid off. She gave everything she had to protect that job, and she lost it anyway. This is not a one-person story. $187 billion is spent in the US every year on medical treatments related to burnout. Working more than 55 hours a week significantly increases your risk of heart attack and stroke. She knows someone who had a heart attack at 39, healthy, active, working too much. She hears from people constantly in her DMs, shingles, stress, autoimmune conditions, anxiety, depression, all of it tied back to chronic workplace overload. Your body keeps score. The company does not. This is the mindset shift that we all need. View your job as a transaction. They are not loyal to you. You should not be loyal to them over the point of your health. That doesn't mean you don't do good work. You absolutely do good work. You show up with integrity, but then you go home. Because you can give everything you have and still get laid off. The only things you take with you when that happens are your health, your reputation, and your relationships. Don't sacrifice the first one for a paycheck that was never guaranteed. This is what the boundary is ultimately protecting. Not your schedule, not your evenings, although important, but not as important as your body. Your capacity to stay in the game long enough to actually win it. Your action item, identify one thing you are currently doing out of fear rather than choice. Staying late, answering emails at 10 p.m., absorbing someone else's work. Name it out loud, then decide, is this a boundary I'm choosing to set or one I'm choosing to give away? Because there's always a price. Carrie ended our conversation with a line that I'm going to improve on. You can't just throw aside the symptoms when they start showing up from burnout. You have to start listening to your body and do something about it. 4 truths, 1 through line. Boundaries are not about being difficult. They are not a personality type. Some people have them and some people don't. They are a skill. It's researched, practiced, imperfect, and absolutely learnable. And they are not optional. Not if you want to stay healthy, not if you want to stay in the game, and not if you want the career you actually came here for. Your job will not protect you, your boundaries will. Go listen to the full episode of Carrie's, complete with scripts, including exactly what to say when your boss texts you after hours and how to reset a boundary you've already blown. Until next time, stay loud and stay lifted.